In 1968, our cities were on fire, and the degree of despair about what would happen in our cities and our communities was really palpable to Johnson.
President Johnson felt that the federal government had a responsibility to channel capitalism, and so major societal initiatives were launched in the 60s, and good aspirations and good intentions weren't enough. We needed to do it in the right way.
He saw the research and thinking that were available to him when he made national security decisions. But he was bereft of that on the domestic side. So he said, I want to have an urban institute.
When Lyndon Johnson became president, there were about 5 or 6 domestic programs. When Lyndon Johnson left office, there were 500. We knew we needed an organization to look at these programs and say, are they working? And that's what led to the creation of the Urban Institute. Put together a very distinguished board to give the Institute stature.
At the founding meeting of Urban's board, President Johnson challenged us to help bring the power of knowledge to solve the problems that weigh heavy in the hearts and minds of Americans, the problem of the American city and its people.
The president went in, he had in front of him my talking points, and he put them down, and he said, these are some talking points from one of my liberal assistants. But I want to tell you what you've got to do. We have got to get resources to fund these programs so that they can work and help people.
Gradually over the years, we have added research capacity in different areas to help serve decision makers who have to make decisions about our communities. That was Johnson's vision.
There are an enormous number of policy solutions and practices in cities and the ways that nonprofits run their organizations today that have been touched and shaped by the work that Urban has done over the years.
One of the distinguishing characteristics of Urban is that we really are bipartisan. The goal is to look at the data, what's happening in our country.
Some of our best initiatives in the human services front, in the financial, fiscal front, in cities over the last 50 years, they've relied on urban research.
Urban has been dealing with housing policies for decades, and they've been able to document just how people work to keep certain groups from being able to take advantage of housing. It's because of that evidence-based approach that policymakers could see we needed to make changes if we were to stop discriminating against people of color and others.
A new analysis of Hillary Clinton's tax plan finds that most of the tax burden will fall on the country's highest earners. That's according to the Tax Policy Center.
The Tax Policy Center is one of the best private groups analyzing tax policy. When I was working in the Bush administration, whenever we had to analyze a tax policy change, seeing what they thought about it was a useful input into our decision making.
There's something fundamentally wrong to have people who are going bankrupt because they can't pay their medical bills.
When the nation started to have a robust debate about expanding health insurance coverage to more Americans, the urban analysis is at the center of every single one of those discussions.
We know 23 million people are supposed to lose coverage under the bill. When the Urban Institute modeled who they are,
today, millions more Americans have health insurance coverage because of the effects of Urban's analysis.
What Urban is doing right now is critical to the future of our democracy. Those of us who understand the importance of research and evidence must be more passionate than ever in making sure we're educating people to understand it is through the evidence that we understand who we are and who we can become.
No city has been more important to the Urban Institute than our hometown of Washington, D.C. And with the recent move to a new headquarters building and conference center in Southwest D.C., we're recommitting ourselves to making sure that we help make our home region a leader in shared prosperity and inclusive growth. One of the most exciting things that's happening today is that there are all kinds of new voices. Discussions about policy are happening in communities all over the country. And what I hope we'll see as we look into Urban's Next 50 is more ways for us to be part of those conversations and empower those voices with new evidence.
We've taken a hard look at what we do and asked ourselves, do we have the right match to the problems in our society? It's a very exciting time to be at the Urban Institute.
I think President Lyndon Johnson would be very pleased with what he created. The Urban Institute has delivered cold and true analysis, and that's why it has been important and why it's so important today.
Across the board, everyone who's been drawn to urban has the same passion for making lives better for people and communities and believing that what we do in bringing evidence forward really makes a difference. And when you come to the Urban Institute every day, you know that that's what you're doing and why it's so exciting to be part of this community.